Okay, we're rolling, man. It's time. It's time to go. I'm going to count it down, introduce Patrick, and off we go, everybody. Oh, actually, can I get your... just say something for me.
Hello, Scott. Are you ready to rumble?
I am so ready to rumble. And is my mic... Oh, yeah, my mic's good. Okay, we're both good. Here we go. Begins. In 3, 2, 1.
Get in my belly. You're listening to The Instance.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Instance. We are The Instance, episode 413. My name is Scott Johnson. That's Patrick Beja. Hello, Patrick.
Hello, Scott.
You're in Finland, man.
How is it going?
I'm fine. You're in the land of see-through people and strangely ethereal race of human beings who float approximately 3 inches above the ground everywhere they go, and you can see their hearts beat like little baby fish. And,
you know, I've seen through so many people in the past few days. It's kind of strange. I'm not sure where I am anymore. But yes, my wife tells me we are in Finland, indeed.
All right. What's it like this time of year? Do you have snow all the time? Like, what's it like?
Well, it was a little bit chilly for the first few days because there was wind, but now the sun has decided to come out, and it's quite nice.
Oh.
It's not, Utah weather.
No, it's beautiful.
But it's very nice, and we're in the middle of the wilderness. Well, not the wilderness, but we're in the middle of the country, and we have the beautiful Finnish forest and water. The sea and the archipelago and inlets.
Sure.
Portions of western Finland. It's very nice. It's honestly something that I am not accustomed to, being in the middle of nature. So hopefully I survive. But my wife knows all of this, and she does all the things like cutting wood fire and all those kinds of strange things that I don't know about.
Sure.
So,
well, it's the land of magical. It's the origin of all magical stuff. It's mages come from there, weird sea creatures, and it's basically a giant. It's a video game there, really.
Which hopefully when I get accustomed to seeing through people, I should be quite comfortable, because I know a thing or two about video games. So.
For sure, we're going to talk about those today. By the way, quick check on the calendar. Exactly 55 days, 6 hours, 47 minutes, and 24 seconds. 23 now. Before you get to potentially many of you get to shake Patrick's hand and hang out with him at Nerdtacular 2015. So there's
if you're very nice, I will even let you touch my scarf.
Whoa. I didn't know you were going to go that far, but hey, you heard
it here. For the people who are really nice, who support, the Frog Pants Network on Patreon significantly. It should be a reward on the Patreon.
It should, right? Touch Patrick's scarf. Oh, man. We've been doing it wrong this whole time. Well, we'll get on that soon.
And by scarf,
yeah,
I do mean scarf.
Oh,
so don't get any ideas.
Oh, this isn't like a euphemism for your man wiener? That's not what that was?
I was going to stay subtle and make the joke about it not being that.
Oh, all right. I took it too far. Dill's had to
by
work.
the way,
we don't know
about that.
Yeah, go.
And we are on Skype, and you're not using the video for the live stream. So does that mean I'm streaming video just for you?
Yeah, totally, dude. There's absolutely zero use for it today, because the video's not working generally, and so
and see how my joke about the man wiener was super subtle, because I said talking about that and then the video thing, and right, that was subtle. Learn, Scott.
All right, I will kneel to your feet and listen to you tutelage me. None of these words mean anything. All right, we're going to get right into the news. Before I do, one quick final mention of something. Dills is working, and we don't know where Terpster is. I know that sounds like the usual thing, for especially for T, but he's a very busy man. He was at the Heroes of the Storm London launch, though, and I was hoping he'd be here to talk a bit about it. We discussed it some off the air on Tuesday when he and I last spoke, but he seemed to think that event was designed not for gamers, but for those who may be wanting to learn how to play a game like this. And that it came off. If you were going to it expecting to have the hardcore treated in a special way. That's not what happened. It was more of a introductory to really what even a MOBA is, but the stage stuff and all this stuff was sort of I don't know, not bad, not terrible, but not nothing that any of us really needed to be concerned with too much. But we'll get to all that later. Let's start with some news. Here you go. All right. That whole flying mess, we have to at least address it briefly.
Again?
No, here's why I know.
So
hold on.
So just as a very quick heads up, I have been traveling, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
I was working, but I was in Russia for a good portion of last week.
Yeah.
And I was in St. Petersburg, wonderful city, very, very nice. Only love for those from the western portion of the land of the Putin. And I have been traveling since. I did work, but I didn't have enough time to follow absolutely everything that was happening. So apparently there's another issue happening with the flying.
Well, it's kind of the final issue.
Again?
In a way, it's the nail in the coffin issue because here's what
Is
happened.
it the final chapter?
It's the
like
final,
an 80s movie sequel?
Yeah. It's like we finally got that last little PDF we ordered on that Kickstarter for that story, and we finally got the last bit, and we've read it, and now we can go to bed. Here's the deal. The word came out last week or a week and a half ago, whatever it was. Before the show, we would have done Friday, but with everybody out of town and there was so much going on, we didn't do a show. Also, there was nothing else going on but this flying thing, and I did not want to have an entire episode dedicated to freaking flying in Warlords of Draenor. So part of that, and some people were angry with us. They were like, well, you sure have time to talk about the Avengers too, but that kind of thing. And I said, no, wait, you've got to take this in context. It was on our show live at Nerdtacular 2013 where you weren't here yet, but you were there because you actually arranged for Greg to be with us that day. And Greg Street announced on the show that there wouldn't be flying immediately in the expansion, and that started the first of what would become many firestorms. And on this show, we have addressed it many, many, many times. And so my point last week was, look, we've talked it to death, both the good and the bad. In a way, I'm glad to hear this final news because it means we can all kind of move on. And people were kind of upset at me, thinking that wasn't good enough. They really wanted to get our take on it. So here's the bottom line. Blizzard made it official that there will be no flying in Warlords of Draenor, at least to this date. This may change because of the backlash. I don't know. But not since Real ID and that whole mess has there been quite this sort of uproar. I think what people generally thought, as did I, my prediction was that we would eventually, after maybe this final patch, some point in that patch timeline, they would just say, all right, flying is now open. Thanks, everybody. Have fun now. Now you can fly everywhere, do all your achievements that were a pain in the butt before, blah, blah, blah. And it would just be a thing you could do. You'd still have to be 100 to do it if you were just getting into this expansion. But yes, flying is back. Have at it. That's really what I thought they would go. So I never really gave it too much thought because I just thought, well, yeah, that seems like the thing they would do. Instead, they've killed it. They've said, no, we're not doing any flying at all. And people's anger ranges from, well, I barely want to do anything in that world because everything's a pain to get to, so I'm kind of stuck in my garrison. I don't want to do anything else, ranging all the way to people who complain that they think it's downright dastardly that Blizzard would remove flying as a permanent feature in Warlords of Draenor, yet still sell $25 flying mounts, specifically flying mounts, during the period where we didn't know, where all signs pointed to eventually you'll fly in the place we're playing the game right now. Therefore, I might want to invest in this $25 mount because maybe I'll fly it there eventually. And now they're being told no. And if you buy that mount, you're going to have to take it back to Azeroth or some other expansion and fly it there. So after all said and done, there, like the internet does, and often this sort of happens, people flipped out and had a complete canary about it. I'm disappointed that we don't have flying at all in this expansion. I was one of those that was fine with waiting until however long it took, but eventually it would happen. I don't know why the decision has been made to not do it. And they haven't said too much about it. That's the other weird bit. For example, this little exchange happened on Twitter. A person asked CM or Lore on Twitter. He says, not posting this on your site and only having one response to a player-made thread about it was a bad move. And Lore said, yeah, it's obviously caused a lot of friction that we hadn't anticipated. Clearly a mistake on our part. So they are even seeing that, their communication about it was perhaps lacking. But I guess I just want to say, and then Patrick, obviously I want you to jump in here. I'm at this point where I don't think, I feel like there's very little I can do about it, and I am disappointed that there is zero flying in this expansion, and that there won't be anything like it maybe ever, or next expansion, who knows, because no one's saying. But I am disappointed that we're at that stage, and that I'm being encouraged to buy flying mounts or grind out stuff that will give me flying mounts and get achievements and go back to old content to get those mounts and not really have any use for them. Yes, very disappointed. Enraged, ready to quit the game, hate everybody because of it? No. I'm not willing to go that far, but I am a little disappointed. So where are you at with this? And then truly it can be in our rearview mirror. We never have to talk about flying again.
Well, first of all, I'm not sure it will be, because if the uproar is as vociferous as you seem to say, it's not. I could see them reversing the decision for the last patch, or at some point, during the last patch's life cycle. So it might be that in the end they say, all right, you want it so much, we are going to allow it for the last portion of the expansion. I don't think it takes away so much from the game if all of the content has been consumed and it's just a little bit more going here and there and doing daily quests and stuff like that. I could see it happen. And I also understand the frustration with the selling of the flying mounts, and the it's not really a reversal, honestly. They've never implied that they would allow it later in the expansion. They basically said, we're not allowing it now, and we'll take a look at it again in the future. We might in the future. Mm-hmm. That is not the same. If you hear this and you are assuming, well, it will be there in the future, I think you're misunderstanding what they're saying. Now, that being said, I think for the way it was communicated, that, and I remember that it was, as you said a couple of weeks ago, the way they communicated the fact that they had made the decision to not allow it, I can see how they would have thought, well, it wasn't allowed until now, so this is not really a huge decision. It's just the continuation of what we had said until now. Mm-hmm. So to them, it wasn't a big deal. They obviously have misjudged the love that the community has for this feature, or that some people in the community at least have for the feature. So there is apparently very clearly a misjudgment, a misjudging on their part of all of this. Yeah. For me, I've said multiple times, I don't think it's a big deal. And I understand that the gameplay implications of having flying in the world are enormous. I also think that, as I was saying at the beginning, they could allow it at the end of the life cycle of the expansion, and it could be a compromise. But, I'm really wondering if this isn't a loud minority. It might not be, it might be actually that it is a feature that everyone loves, and if that's the case, then maybe it would make sense to enable it from 2, 3, 4 months, 6 months from now. But I'm really wondering if this isn't a loud minority, and in the end, if they do it, no one will care.
Well, it's almost impossible to tell, right? So, yeah, all we have to go on is a very angry set of threads on the forums, a lot of Twitter chatter. So it's difficult to say, and I really don't know if I could say one way or the other. But one other part of this that I'd like to just dispel is there were people who legitimately were accusing us of not doing a show Friday because Blizzard had pressured us not to talk about it. And I just want to, I laughed too. And I just want to reiterate one really important point about this show and really everything I do in podcasting. And it's this: we are independent. We are fanboys, but we are independent fanboys, and we do it of our own volition. So if we love Blizzard and if we even apologize for them for something that others think we're wrong about, we are doing that all of our own. They don't have any kind of anything going on with pressure or any of that other stuff. It doesn't exist. We like them a lot.
I can tell you honestly, if there were things that Blizzard would want to pressure us about, which I don't believe they have ever done, I don't think Blizzard is in the habit of going to people and telling them, "Do not talk about this."
No.
But if they were,
no,
I can assure you it wouldn't be about flying.
No, it would not. And it's also, by the way, with the feedback I get from Blizzard is usually, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you guys talked about PvP in an honest manner, because we're really looking for good feedback." Like I love the responses we get out of Holinka. It tells me that they're listening to valid concerns. You know, we had a show where Dills was very adamant about the problems he's having with PvP, and as a guy who flourished in the PvP environment for a very long time, for him to sort of lay that stuff out and know that key people on the team are taking that stuff to heart is kind of a big deal. So it's kind of the opposite. They are not pressuring us to do anything. They take a lot of what is said here and a lot of what you guys say through us as really important stuff to listen to and pay attention to. Are we fanboys? Yes, abso-freaking-lutely. I love Blizzard. I really do. And I'm going to be far more on the side of, I'm disappointed, but I'm still playing this game, than I ever am going to be, I'm quitting because that's not my relationship with the game and with the other games they make. So all of that being said, flying, who knows? I don't know if the backlash is big enough. You know, if it's as big as people say, which is the Real ID mess, they may backtrack. If it's as big as the Diablo 3 auction house problem, they may back off like they did with that. So it's not that they don't listen.
There's no way it's as big as this.
No, it can't be.
They might back off, but it's not. It is not as big a deal. It might be a big frustration, but it's not as big a deal as any of those things. I honestly don't think so. It's frustrating for those who really want to fly in the expansion world. But,
I wouldn't mind flying right now. I would like it. I wouldn't. I don't. Yeah. I'm with you in that I'm not that worked up about it. But if I could go over Spires of Iraq and hang out up there, I'd be happy to go spend some time doing that.
And just so you know, you're saying there's almost no way of knowing how big a deal it is. And yes, it's true that it's very, very difficult. But to my knowledge, I think Blizzard has, I don't want to say the biggest, but certainly one of the biggest community teams in the gaming companies, in the developers, publishers. I mean, the community team at Blizzard is pretty sizable, partly because they have to handle a number of languages, and everyone follows all of the forum threads. And when there is an issue like this, it's not like, it's very easy to get the idea that Blizzard isn't listening, but I can assure you that, having seen things from the inside, you have email threads and reports, and trying, you know, as difficult as it is, the community team and the PR team and everyone is always, but specifically the community team, is always trying to gauge the reaction of the community and the players and the forums. And if something is really blowing up, the community team is going to look into it and try to separate, you know, the constructive feedback, the genuine concerns, the constructive criticisms, and all of this, and it's going to reach the developers. And of course, that does not mean that they are necessarily going to act on it. You know, if they disagree with it, then it might not turn into anything. But there is an enormous amount of effort being channeled into trying to really understand what the community cares about. So the idea that they wouldn't care about the community's concerns is, honestly, without any kind of fanboyism, does not make sense at all.
It's not the way they operate. I had a really, we'll move on after this, but I had a very interesting experience last BlizzCon. I can't get too detailed here because I don't want to do that to people. But I heard from somebody who was directly involved in how important it was to announce Overwatch and make it a big deal, and to truly get players excited and understand how passionate they were for the work they'd been doing. And they agonize over that stuff. Like, it isn't just cocky, we got a new thing we're sticking out there, everyone will eat it up because we're Blizzard, man. They'll just take whatever we give them. They don't think that way. At least in this case,
God, no.
It's like the opposite of that. And these guys, I mean, they're like on the verge of ulcers half the time, these people I'm referring to, just because they are so interested in the base being as excited and as passionate about the project they put their guts into. So my impression is that's true across the board. It's one of the reasons they've succeeded the way that they have. And
honestly, I think it's the same for most developers. Maybe not all, but you're never sure how your game is going to be received. The internet is so fickle, and it's so easy that something catches, Reddit's attention, and all of a sudden everything spins out into some kind of disaster scenario. And no matter how many times you've done it, I can't remember who it was, but there was a comic, I think, or a singer who was saying, no matter how many times you've filled stadiums, every time you have to get on stage, you still get those knots in your stomach. Yeah. And I think it's the same for game developers. You have worked your ass off on those games for months and years, and you really want everyone to like it. It's a labor of love. It's like an artist. When you present your thing to the world, you hope that you get a positive response. Yeah. And it's never easy. It's never a given. You've never won before you've come out. And again, from experience, I can tell you that the developer teams and everyone in the company, and I'm sure everyone at every company is very nervous before those things.
It's what most successful companies do. So it's just part of life. We hope hopefully that some people hear that and go, okay, yeah, I kind of get that. For those who think we're Blizzard apologists, they can apologize for themselves. They don't need us. So don't worry about it. All right. 6, okay, that's all until there's a big change in the flying plan, that's all the flying we're talking about. Patch 6.2 raid preview went up for Hellfire Citadel. It's out there. It looks dark. It looks interesting. It looks kind of hardcore. I'm not exactly, it's not jumping off the page and yelling to me, ooh, finally it's not like Icecrown Citadel, which is like, in preview mode, you were flipping out like, oh my gosh, look at this. It's the Lich King. And, it's one of the problems that this expansion has is the nostalgia factor is already played out.
Hello? Hi. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, Scott. It's Blizzard calling me saying that if you don't like the preview of the next raid, you shouldn't talk about it. So if you can please skip over
should I stop? Topic. Okay, we'll get to the next one here. How about this one?
The question is, what are we doing here?
Bleep, bleep, bleep. I'm sorry, Scott. You can't use the troll voice as a bumper in your show. Stop doing that.
Yeah. So you're not getting the same vibe from.
I didn't get it from. I'm just not getting it from. I mean, it looks fine. It looks great. In fact, it feels interstitial, like usually your first or second act in your 3 big patch raid content patches, and I say that only because it's a petty thing for me. I am just not seeing things there that make me go, ooh, my nostalgia button is being pushed repeatedly here. I cannot wait to see the Lich King and murder him, and that's not happening. And maybe they don't have that opportunity with this expansion, or they've had it, but it's spent. Like your entry into that world was the big, ooh, Warcraft the way it used to be. The land before it was, corrupted, the leaders and the clan stuff that happened before, these namesakes that we now know in Azeroth, like all of that stuff is great. And it reminds you immediately of why you love this world. And now we're being presented with endgame content that is new and not part of the old thread. And because of that, there's some fan service thrown in here or there, but may just come off as a little bit weak to those of us who are looking for that big thing, that big.
But this is it's the last raid of the expansion.
The last
right?
chunk, yeah. This is
because there's Archimon, there's Manaroth, it's like the entire Burning Legion is setting up shop.
Basically, it's like I guess your BC nostalgia can kick in here, I suppose. It's just not doing it for me as much.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, those guys are the big guys from the world. But, I think it might have to do a little bit with the fact that the Lich King is one of the best villains in the Blizzard universe.
Yeah, he's the Vader. He's the Vader of this world, really.
Yeah, kind of.
And
I'm wondering if it's possible to ever reach that level of excitement again.
Yeah, or some of them are like, oh, he's the Darth Maul. Well, great, Darth Maul is cool and all, but he's not quite Vader, and he's not, Darth Sidious was terrible, and like you can think. I hate to use the Star Wars analogy, but it kind of holds. It's like there's this iconic center of the road thing, which was Darth Vader, and then everything else was okay. This is like that, and the Lich King is so titular to the entire experience that I'm actually more surprised they haven't returned to that more, either as like, all right, well, the new guy who's up on the thing, what's his name? Grim.
Oh, it's not Bolvar.
Bolvar. It is Bolvar, isn't it?
Is it Bolvar?
I think it's Bolvar.
There you go.
I think it's Bolvar. Do I have that wrong? I think it's Bolvar. From the Wrathgate thing. Anyway.
Yeah. The Fire Lich King.
That whole bit. The Fire and Ice up there. He's he would be interesting. Let's go explore that. Let's play some more. I mean, I guess what I'm saying, and I don't want people to misunderstand me. I want new material. I want new stuff. I'm just saying that part of the reason this expansion is, for a lot of players, petering out early is because we're out of things that really drove them back to Warlords in the first place. We're kind of getting to a point where it's all new material, some familiar names, but alternate timeline. You're never going to think of Khan in the second Star Trek movie, the new reboot movies, the same way you think of Khan from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. You're never going to do it. It just doesn't stack up. And to me, that's I feel like that's where we're at. Still good, still great, going to have a great time. Can't wait to progress through that content. Fun. But it's just not the same. Does it make any sense, or am I being petty? I could be being petty.
No. It does make sense. There is maybe a little bit less emotional attachment to all of this. It's possible. I mean, I think the thing also is, in a sense, that all of these bad guys are demons that, it's not what was built up to in the expansion. So in a sense, you don't have the warlords. You're not fighting the warlords here. So it's the Burning Legion that swoops in, and you're like, hey, come fight us. We came out of nowhere. Not really, because it makes sense with the story, but it's not being built up with as much strength. You're going to fight Kilrog and maybe a couple of others, but it's not being built up as much as it had been for Wrath of the Lich King, or maybe even, for Mists of Pandaria. When you finally got to fight Garrosh, I thought it was very, very not emotional, but there was a climax in the storyline.
Sure.
Here it's taking a side step, maybe, but maybe that's why you're not feeling it.
Well, it's also weird that structurally speaking, and maybe obviously this is a choice that they made, and my expectations may have been wrong, but structurally speaking, what I expected from raid content was that the final bosses of each of these wings would be warlords. Would be
the warlords, yeah. That's also what I kind of was looking forward to.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird. You go to Highmall, and your first guy is freaking Missing Arm Man. What's his name? I think his name all the time.
Black Hand? No, it's not Black Hand.
The other guy. My brain. That guy. You know the guy.
Yeah, the gladiator who fought 100
Kargath. Kargath's the guy. So Kargath, you kill him, and you're done. You're like, oh, well, all right, that was him. And then you find out two-headed troll or a two-headed ogre man, freaking Imperator Butthole, whatever his name is.
I think that's his name.
You find out he's a bigger deal in that story. That it's just a little weird. So when I fought, who is it that I fought in just a dungeon, and I thought, no, he should be a boss. The original Lich King. The orc.
No, I see what you mean.
You know who I mean. You kill that guy in that dungeon, that 5 man. You're just like, what? That dude shouldn't die here. This is ridiculous.
I think it has to do with the idea that you want to have that content sprinkled through a lot of different pieces of, a lot of different portions of the game, and you want everyone to experience that. But yeah, I agree. I think I'm wondering if here it might not have served the structure of the story better if you had just put, as you said, the warlords, they're going to be the bosses of the wings, and that's it.
Yeah.
And just never mind about the 5 man and the early. I understand that you want to have people fight someone familiar that means something in the first raid. Because if it's just random, nameless, faceless people, well, not nameless, but faceless bosses, you're like, but it has less emotional impact. But in this case, I kind of agree with you. It might have been a little bit more impactful if it had been at the end of it. And
Kilrog's
just
not
make
even
the whole raid
right.
with 4 warlords and then 4 bosses from the Legion.
That'd
because
be all right.
Manaroth, it does mean something to me. It's one of the first raid bosses I killed, and Archimonde is legendary in the lore. All of those do work, but
no, they're good in their own. I don't want to downplay those, but it's just, I don't know. It's weird. Kilrog, once again, middle of the raid kind of business. He's not nearly. Well, I mean, it's important to kill him. I get it, but just there's something about the structure. Like, I need to know Bowser's at the end of every zone.
Yeah.
I don't
trite as it might seem, it does work in the formula.
Sure. Nerzul, by the way, was the guy I killed in the heroic.
Oh, there you go.
Who I should not have been able to kill there. That was ridiculous. He's the freaking Lich King. Gosh dang it. Let's see what else. World of Warcraft. Oh, this is good news. Good news.
Technically, Scott, it's part of the Lich King. It's not the entire Lich King.
I like that your nerd at a conference sounds like a robot. I like that a lot. That's pretty good.
I was trying to go with the nose.
I liked
it's the internet.
I understand. So World of Warcraft has now been inducted into the very first video game Hall of Fame. And this is interesting. They joined the ranks of Pong, Pac-Man, Tetris, Super Mario Brothers, and Doom. Right up there, you got World of Warcraft. I would actually agree that that's a pretty strong list. These were selected from a field of 15 finalists. They also included Angry Birds. It seems a little early for that. FIFA, The Legend of Zelda, Minecraft, The Oregon Trail, Pokemon, The Sims, Sonic the Hedgehog, and Space Invaders. I think you give Minecraft a few more years. I think, I don't know.
Yeah, I think Minecraft already deserves a spot. I would say so.
Maybe. It will at some point. It has to. FIFA, I don't know what you're doing with FIFA in there. Come on, it's a sports game. I get that it's big.
FIFA is the most played game, isn't it? Maybe not.
I think League of Legends beats FIFA, is my thinking. I could be wrong.
No.
Come on.
League of Legends?
Yeah, does really well, dude. That game's like, let's see. How many people play League of Legends?
Yeah, but it's a free-to-play game. But yeah, you're right, maybe.
Some 30 million players play League of Legends. I would have to think that FIFA is probably something in the 20 million. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, you just pulled that one out of your ass.
Hold on. Maybe I'll try FIFA and see what it says. People are so pissed at FIFA right now. I may not get any actual results. It doesn't say, but it looks like a lot of people. I'm sorry. Because 265 million people play football, like actual soccer. By the way, can we just... I hate
No, we can't.
I hate that we have football and soccer. I hate it. Anyway, a lot of people play FIFA. You're right. Oh, it says right here, 11.2 million people. So it's less. My point is this.
How many do they sell though? I think that's the number. Anyway,
they sell a ton. They sell a ton. I just feel like it's annualized. It's not like I know it's a big deal, but I don't know. I don't know. It just seems weird to me. You put like The Sims. I don't know. Well, they didn't win, so I guess the right choices were made. Pong, Pac-Man, Tetris, Super Mario Brothers, Doom, and World of Warcraft. Blizzard's
the thing is, many of those, maybe not Sonic. I wouldn't put it in the Hall of Fame, but first of all, this is only one organization's Hall of Fame,
right?
And many of those would deserve to be in that Hall of Fame. I mean, arguably, The Legend of Zelda trumps. I don't know. Well, it could. There would be an argument for it to be in there. Pokemon, I would agree. The Sims probably. Space Invaders, but they had Pong and Pac-Man. Yeah, it's very difficult to select just 6. And if you go to 10, then it's very difficult to select 10. And so it is somewhat arbitrary.
Also, popularity contests are so subjective, it's ridiculous to even try. So it's still interesting, and I'm glad that WoW at least ranks high enough to be chosen. And that's good company. I've played all those games to death and continue to in some cases. I still play Pac-Man here and there. Doom was amazing. Yeah. So anyway, good job, WoW. Way to go. You've secured yourself a spot on somebody's list. And if ever,
if any, we're biased, but I think everyone would agree that WoW is a game that deserves to be in most halls of fames of video games lists, right?
Yeah.
It's been a phenomenon like very few others.
Yeah.
And
how can you not? I remember way back when Next Gen Magazine was still in print, and they did this list, which was very controversial at the time, that was the best 100 games ever made, which is, again, highly subjective. It came out before WoW, so there was no WoW on that list, but contained such luminaries as StarCraft and freaking, Legend of Zelda stuff. Zelda, in fact, I think their top #1 pick was Ocarina of Time. Second place went to Mario 64. It was very Nintendo heavy at the top. And kind of went down from there. Half-Life was in the top 8, I think. So but I cannot imagine tackling that anymore these days, mainly because you have such a different pool to choose from. It's no longer just what can I buy at Walmart. It's what can I download from 1,000 different places, from 1,000 different developers of varying sizes and degrees. And
all right, so what's the most important game of the history of the world for you, Scott?
For me, the most influential, impactful thing I ever played. It's probably Mario 64 for me. Yeah. That game blew my mind and ushered in what we even do now in so many ways. And I don't know. It just changed the way I thought about video games in such a important way. But I could say this about so many other games. I played so much Quake, it's almost disgusting. I love all those innovative titles, but something about Mario 64 just stands out as the most important thing I ever played.
Yeah, I thought about it when you were saying the top of that 100 best games ever made list was very Nintendo heavy. They have such an influential game design in many of their games. It's surprising.
I would argue that Blizzard's focus or how they make raid content is so influenced by Nintendo game design.
You have the Zelda 3, kill it 3 times, and
it happens all the time. I mean, they've mixed it up and they've broadened it and all of that, but they've been unashamed to admit that in the past. They've said, we're hugely influenced by.
Well, Nintendo is probably, as a company, the most influential force in the video game. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's the way I look at it. In the gaming industry, it's incredibly influential from a game design. Even if they're not the biggest, Mario and Zelda and some other titles have been, hugely influential. Maybe even if it doesn't impact a gamer directly, through what will percolate to other games, it probably will.
Yeah, if you make a list of most influential game companies and you don't have Nintendo at the top of that list, I think you're not being honest with yourself, or you're uninformed, because there's so much that spreads from them to everyone else you love. Yeah, and I guess good for them. Finally, live Q&A Saturday. Check it out, June 6th with Ian Hazzikostas.
After 2 years, you're finally managing to pronounce it correctly.
I have to say it, though. I have to say it like an angry villain, though, to get it right. Ian Hazzikostas. Pacific time, by the way. That Q&A is what time that day? 3 o'clock, it looks like. 3? Yeah, 3 or 4. Ah, crap. I'll be doing the NVIDIA live stream, so I will not be there, sadly, to catch it. But I think this is kind of interesting, because I have a feeling this may be in reaction to all this hubbub lately about, I'm stuck in my garrison, I don't want to do anything else, flying needs to come back, no flying. Bah! I have a feeling this is one of those moments where they get to come out and kind of interface, and I think that's probably a good thing.
Might be. I'm thinking it might be also a patch release interview,
sure,
Q&A.
Yeah, for sure.
It's usually timed. The thing is, if you want to answer grievances, you usually try to do it in a less booming voice. Mm-hmm. I would think that by order of importance, you would initially try to answer them on maybe Twitter, kind of, but then the forums, then the blog, and then you start doing videos and stuff like that. I'm sure they're going to address them. They're going to address those issues, but I would be surprised if that was a reaction to the frustrations and controversy. I would think it's more of a let's drum up the excitement for the patch because it's going to come out soon exercise.
Well, in some Hearthstone news, new heroes are coming. confirmed one of them at least.
Well, new hero skins.
New hero skins. I want to be very careful about this. Magni Bronzebeard is confirmed to be your second warrior hero. What does that mean? It means instead of Garrosh Hellscream being there every time you look at him, it will be Magni Bronzebeard. He will come animated by default, and he will cost you $10. You're not getting any extra abilities. Your same exact stuff, although you'll see a little animated hammer instead of
when you use the hero ability.
Sure.
It looks kind of cool.
Yeah, but they're basically skins that involve voice stuff and some other things. Purely cosmetic. They're exactly the same class cards that you used before. The hero package includes a new hero, special hero extrusion card back, or exclusive rather. I don't know why I said extrusion, and unique hero specific emotes. You'll be able to set a favorite hero for each class. Favorite hero will be used in play mode and arena, and they're $10, and many think that's too much. I think it sounds about right.
Really?
Yeah, I think because if you value that sounds like the right price to me. If you don't value such a thing, I don't know why you'd bother. And they'll do skins deals. I'm sure the way they've been doing with heroes, where they're like, this month you can get the Magni Bronzebeard for $4. So it's a chance for them to do little sales here and there, and I think people will take advantage of that. But for those who care about this, I think this is probably an okay price. I think it's designed to cater to those who are already like, oh yeah, $10, no problem, and they're really not worried about those of us who are going to balk at any prices for skins. I mean, I kind of am doing this with heroes. Like, I immediately bought. I know it's not the same as skins.
How much? Yeah, how much is a skin in heroes? Is the question I was going to ask.
10 for some are more depending on what happens. Like, for example, if you get Tassidar's transforming airplane thing, robot transformers thing. It comes basically with two things. It comes with this new skin. Well, more like 3 or 4 things. It comes with a new skin. It comes with new voice stuff, modulated different voices, different things he says, and also his abilities have different animations and different visual effects. And he basically gets a mount with it effectively, because when he transforms into the plane by hitting the Z button, which is normally your mount button, he turns into a plane and now flies at the speed that a mount would move. So you're basically getting a skin, a mount, voice packs, and effects for $15. Most skins are 10 when they're not on sale. So they're doing like $10 skins in that game, and usually heroes at their maximum are typically around $10 as well. Although it may range in, the gold may vary. But if I'm buying, like when I bought Johanna the other day, I'll get to her in a minute. She was $10, and I was happy to do it because that's an entire character. Am I going to rush right out and grab her skin? Not necessarily, but I could see myself 3 months into this character loving it to the point that I'm like, man, I want to get all her stuff, and then justifying the cost of that skin. Of course, all that can be ground out with gold as well, and one would assume, and I don't know if this is true, but is it true that you should be able to grind out these skins in Hearthstone with gold? I don't know.
I'm not seeing anything about this. The chat room was saying 700 gold earlier. I don't think I've seen any confirmation of this. If you can grind it with gold, it's a little bit more acceptable. Yeah. For me, $10 is a little bit steep. I would put it, well, ideally 5, but
right.
But maybe 7 or 8 is a little bit closer to what most people would agree on. I'm wondering if this isn't them padding it a little bit and saying, we can always go down, we can do promotions, but we're never going to go up.
Right.
And considering Hearthstone's popularity, you never want to price it really too high. So I'm guessing they've tried and look at how much things like that sell for other games and how much people would be willing to pay for this. Sometimes they have internal or external surveys. But yeah, it still feels a little bit expensive. Even psychologically, I understand it's probably, let's say it's as much work to do this as it is to do a skin for a 3D character in Heroes. Yeah. This still feels like just, a flat image with a little bit of animation. So it very instinctively, emotionally, it feels like it should be less expensive than the hero in Heroes.
Yeah, but Hero's a balanced character with new abilities, animation, character design.
Oh, sorry, I mean a skin.
Right. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. No, yeah. I agree with you on that. I think that's a fair point. It definitely seems, I'm not going to say This is definitely not me saying, "Oh yeah, sweet, $10, perfect price." But Blizzard has a history of figuring this out. Like I remember when Warcraft was announced that it was going to be $15 a month when WoW came out, and everybody flipped out because the closest to that was $9.99 for like Dark Age of Camelot, and I think EverQuest was also $10 per month, and a lot of people flipped out. Like, no way anyone's going to pay that for an MMO. That is ridiculous.
That's different, though.
Well, it is. It isn't. That's them saying. We are going to...
No, Scott. It is, and it is.
No, because look, they think... This is how Blizzard looks at it. I know, but I think this is how they think about it. They're like, well, we could say 10, but we're stuck there now. Like you were saying, it's the same thing. We're stuck there. If we go 15, we can always go down. We can always have that time where they have never had to get there, but they could have that moment where they're like, guess what? WoW's only 10 now. Woo! Come on back and play the game. They have that option, and now they have that option here. So I guess I'm not surprised by it, but I'm also not surprised that some people think it's a little steep, and it probably is a little steep. The fact that you can buy entire games on Steam for $10 with great experiences and stuff makes it kind of a hard sell for me to want to get a skin for that price. But one way or the other, I feel like Blizzard understands that market, and I think they've got economists in that company that are rad, that know their stuff. They're rad, man. That's how they talk about it in their business. Let's see. Here's the Storm news. Crusader, really fun, interesting, like it a lot. Johanna is really fun. And by the way, thanks to that video, I now know how to say it. So I'm gonna let everybody hear it. Hold on. Heroes of the Storm. I just want to find her intro video real quick. Here you go. I'm gonna play this. Here's her voice, or here's her thing, properly pronounced. Oh, I meant to capture this. I should have before. All right. Okay.
The crusade calls us, my friend.
Okay.
Johanna,
see? They don't want to just go Joanna. They want to go full-on, like, fantasy lady name, which I think is great.
I think they should have gone full Nordic and gone like, Johanna.
Johanna. I like that.
Yeah.
That'd be all right.
You double the N, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
So, Johanna.
Yeah. She is not only really fun to play, she lasts forever, and she's my favorite tank to play. She's a warrior and really fun. I can recommend her. I think she is well worth her $10, and she's doing all kinds of crazy fun stuff right now. Terpster went to the launch event. Seemed to me to be a little, like I told you, a little disappointed in it, but we'll get more from him next time. Lots of fresh blood since the launch. Like in some cases, really bad players, which is great because I had like a 5-game winning streak the day before yesterday and just never even had a chance of losing. I did have one game with a group where we thought we were done 10 minutes before the game ended. I mean, really quite literally said, there's no way. They've got our thing down to 16%, our core. There's no way we come back from this. We're missing towers. They've cleared lanes. We're done. They've commanded the maps stuff. They were just dominating us in almost every way. And one team fight that just happened to happen right in a place where we were able to also take out a tower and a fort at the same time, which put them 60-second cooldown death, all 5 of them. And we suddenly were standing there looking at each other and went, holy shit, we can actually win this. We just need to go ham the core, which we did immediately, and took it down before those guys were able to spawn. They were maybe 2-3 seconds before they'd spawned, and won this game. Now, if that isn't proof that Blizzard's right when they say we are hesitant to include a resign button in this thing, I completely side with them on that now. Because that game, you can turn that shit around in like the very last
language.
second.
That's the second time.
I'm getting so excited and worked up. I can't help it. I love that game, man. Freaking love it.
That was our mandatory Avengers 2 callback.
Yeah, it was. The Wolf Mount and the Graves Pet in WoW. Well, the Mount in Heroes, because you have a level 100 character in WoW, is really cool. And if you're level 20 or higher in Heroes of the Storm, you get the Graves Pet, which is based on the big Grave Golem in the Mines level of that game. Are really nice touches for WoW players, so grats on that, everybody. And I went and got my pet. It looks great. Little Graves guy running around. I haven't fought with him, so I have no idea how he does there, but he seems pretty rad. Greg Street said something on Twitter I wanted to share. You want to hear this?
Yes.
Because he works at Riot Games. He is there with the League of Legends folks. And somebody asked him on Twitter. I love following Greg's tweets about everything he says, but he said this. Hi, what do you think about Heroes of the Storm compared to League of Legends? And Greg answered back with 2 tweets. He says, I think they are wisely going for a different kind of MOBA, which makes sense in a crowded market. I think they have a chance to broaden the MOBA audience, which may be good for everyone. Now, that may sound a little PR-induced, but I think that's probably Greg from the Gut. Greg from the Gut, new podcast coming to the Frog Pants Network with Greg Street, everybody. Tune in. That's good news, though, that at least a big name at Riot sort of sees it that way. And, of course, they're not going to say something rude. But
yeah, exactly.
But I also agree with those 2 statements. Like, why would it hurt?
So here's the thing you want to do when you're answering in a PR-approved way. You want to give an answer that makes sense, that can provide an anchor for people who want to agree with you, but also that avoids the controversy or potential, hot topics in the question.
Sure.
So that fits that bill perfectly, and it doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just that, and I'm sure Greg and most people, I mean, it makes sense. Currently, I really don't think LoL is feeling extremely threatened by heroes. It seems to be finding a different, exactly as he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
So it does completely make sense.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't answer. What is he going to say? Let's do the other version of.
Okay, let's do this one. So I say, hey, I hear. What do you think about Heroes of the Storm compared to League of Legends? Now you answer me. You're Greg Street. Go.
So if I'm not Greg Street, if I'm Grug Strat.
Yeah, Grug Strat, right.
Grug Strat would say, well, I think Heroes is a poor facsimile of a real MOBA. It is too easy for it to have any legs in a serious competitive esports arena.
Yeah.
And it is too expensive.
Okay.
I don't know. Now I'm just making stuff up.
Now I'm going to say one. Here's mine. Those guys are buttholes and they should die. There you go.
Oh, right. Okay, so you went to the other issue.
I went the other way. I ran into a couple of here's what's funny that's happening in that game. There are people who come from League or Dota who are enjoying it, but they think they need to quit if within the first 10 minutes they're a level behind. They're like, "Oh, that's it, you guys, we're done." That's happening a lot. So I'm seeing people rage quit because they don't understand that this game you can really go to the wire. You should never give up. It's very different. You can get behind in those other 2 games pretty badly very early, and you're just sort of stuck or you need to resign. So I understand where they're coming from, but there's a lot of that going on. And then there are people who are coming in who don't use map mechanics at all. They might be an amazing team of 5 brawlers, right? Just tearing you to pieces when you get into team fights. But because they're ignoring all map mechanics, we'll win those matches no problem because we're taking advantage of them. I mean, they won't even go to the temples and try to hold them. They're not doing anything in the mines. And we end up winning. So it's a funny period.
Learning the differences in this game compared to the one they're coming from.
Yeah, it's just a funny little interstitial period where I want to enjoy it as much as I can because it means I can dominate. Because soon enough they're all going to get it figured out, and then I'm dead. So there's that.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Now that it's out, I want to get a little bit more into it. It's a game I really want to like, because. The way, I don't know what happened about 2-3 months ago.
Yeah.
There's a group of all of you guys who started really getting into it.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Kanata can't shut up about it. You can't shut up about it.
Mm-hmm.
Terpster loves it. And, everyone really enjoys it. And the way you talk about it is a little bit different from any other game that we usually play.
Yeah, I agree.
There's, and I think that's the MOBA aspect of it, and that's what people see and enjoy in MOBAs, which is the team play aspect of it, and the direct control of your character through those means, and with Heroes that makes this accessible. It's definitely capturing a lot of people's imaginations. And that is something that I want.
Yeah.
So
I want you in it. I wish they didn't region lock it, though. That sucks. It sucks. I want to play you like right now. Like right now, stop the show, end it, throw the MP3 in the shitter, and play. Oh, I swore again. Look at this. This is what this game does to me. It makes me swear. Also, I will agree with everything you just said, and I will also just add this. I am a guy who came from trying to play, and I gave it a good effort. I tried to play League. I tried to play even Heroes of New Earth, and I even played a bunch of Dota 2, and I hated all of it. I just didn't like it. Now, I'm not saying if you out there love it, keep loving it. Those games are popular for a reason. They just were not for me. Something clicked here and changed, though, and it isn't just my love of Blizzard. It's something else. And when it did click,
oh really? You think it's not the fact that it's a little bit more accessible, a little bit less complicated?
I think it's those things for sure. I guess what I'm saying is I would really enjoy this game if it didn't have Blizzard's branding on it. If it was somebody else, I think this would still be the MOBA for me. So what they are doing to it is what's making the difference, but it's kind of intangible for me. Like you could say, well, it's because you have a common leveling pool, or because you got rid of the stupid item gold thing, or it's no more last hit, or the maps are tighter and more competitive, or whatever. All of those things are true, but to me, it's the sum of those parts that made this weird and almost intangible feeling of greatness for me. And I haven't felt this into or as excited about or has had many the kinds of experiences I haven't had since like my Quake and Unreal days, which were these very team focused moments of just incredible, like, I can't believe we won that capture the flag match. That was by the skin of our teeth.
God, what are you doing to me? I have so many games to play. Now I can't wait to go play Heroes.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as you get as soon as it hits with you too, you'll know it and you'll go, I don't want to do anything but this.
So tell me this. Do you always play with people you know, or do you sometimes just go into a random match?
Many times random matches. What usually happens is I'll get in, usually not solo though. I'll do that for dailies and things occasionally because there's daily quests in that game. But what I'll usually do is hop on, and Gorath and 2 other guys will be there, and we're like, hey, you guys hop in real quick, and it'll be friends of mine, and maybe it's 3 out of the 5 of us know each other and the other 2 aren't. But at night we'll get into like full-on 5-man matches. Sometimes we'll even have custom matches, 5 of us versus 5 of somebody else, which is why I'm doing this tournament coming up, because there's so many Frog Panthers into this right now that we already have like 32 plus teams that are like organized and want to play. So it's going to be insane. News on that soon, everybody. But point is, I've been able to enjoy it from hey, I'll just play a quick AI match cooperatively with a bunch of strangers to knock out a couple of dailies to a structured 5-man team who's been practicing together. Like, the whole range is happening for me. And I don't feel like it's consuming my life. That's the other thing. I can get a couple of quick games in like a half an hour. So it's not like League where it took me 2 hours to do anything. It's like get in, play. All right, guys, got to go, get out. Like a quick lunch game or something. It's happening every day. That's why I love it. It's just got all those things working for me, man. I don't know what's going on over there. They just keep shaving Browder's head and make it nice and shiny, because whatever he's doing is good. All right. Finally, there is a little Diablo news. Not quite finally. I got an Overwatch thing to tell you about. But check this out. I'm going to play this for you real quick. Whoops. Dang it. Okay, there it is. Check it out.
Hello, China. I am Mike Morheim, CEO and co-founder of Blizzard Entertainment. And it is my pleasure to welcome you to the world of Sanctuary. We want to let you know how much we appreciate all the support Chinese players have shown us over the years.
That's very interesting. He also promises them this.
Tons and tons of powerful loot.
All right, tons and tons of powerful loot. So Diablo 3 launching in China, Reaper of Souls specifically, and they have not had Diablo since Diablo 2 in that country. I don't know why. I don't know how that works over there, but they've opened the gates and said, our communist ways welcome the latest chapter in the primeval thing. And they'll all be so shocked at the fate of one Deckard Cain. Anyway, it's exciting stuff. China, good job over there. Patrick, any thoughts on that? No? You good?
I didn't realize, because they also have this weird thing about platinum, which is the in-game money transaction thing,
right?
Isn't it?
Yeah, they have a platinum counter or something,
right? Which has already reached 1 billion. So I guess it was the beta for the thing that has already.
Apparently, it's huge. People love it.
Yeah. No. Well, China, very important market.
Oh, it's both emerging and already enormous. Like it's the weirdest thing to see something that is that already established that has such an impact on the world in terms of gaming, and then know that it's just now starting. Like, it's just crazy. Not just now, but you know what I mean. It's spreading, I guess I should say. I like when he says this.
Hello, China.
Hello, China. What's going on? Hey. Hey, China. All right, truly, finally, Overwatch. They put out a Reaper gameplay video, also a Symmetra video earlier. I haven't watched that one, but I did watch the Reaper one. I have this to say real quick about Overwatch. I have a feeling I'm going to get real tired of all the voiced emotes. Like, every time he goes, die, 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 I'm going to be really annoyed after a while. I think it's a bit much. But anyway, I like that they're putting these out. I think this game's looking great. Nothing new other than, they're showing us stuff.
The replays are Did you see the one with Tracer? Did we talk about it last time?
We may have brought it up, but I don't think we talked too much about it. But yeah, those replays were amazing.
Yeah, they've been churning them out, and I'm so excited for Overwatch. Yeah. I'm just really excited, and they show, obviously, the replays show someone really playing their character really well, and the things they do with their characters are so exciting, especially Tracer, but even Reaper is super cool, and I can't wait to actually lay my grubby hands on it.
Yeah, are you gonna get sick of her going, "It's okay, love, cavalry's here"? That might murder me.
If she says it like that, I might, yes. But
wow.
But yeah, Reaper is just great.
Yeah,
and when he goes,
awesome.
Die, die, die. Yeah. He's like, it's the kind of thing that shouldn't work. That kind of emo, angry teenager, ridiculous I am death character.
Yeah.
But it's just they just manage to make it work. So
I agree. I played him a lot at BlizzCon, and I'm looking forward to him more than maybe anybody because he's just my style. So we will see how that all goes. We had a couple of quick calls. We'll get to those now.
Hear ye, hear ye.
Why, it's the town crier.
Oh, yeah, that means town crier. That means emails. That means calls. Call us, 801-471-0462. Leave us a message. Keep it short, brief, interesting, and we'll play it on the show. That's 801-471-0462. You can send your attachments and or emails to theinstance@gmail.com. All calls today. Got a couple of them. This one dealing with final bosses.
Good morning. This is Kuchelaine calling from, not from Silverhand server, but on Silverhand server. Anyways, got a question for you guys about what you think is coming with final bosses. Hellfire Citadel, we have returns of like Gorefiend and Archimonde, or however it's said. I would love to see how Patrick says that one. My question is, what do you think about the chances of Illidan appearing in the expansion?
Seems unlikely to me, but
very unlikely.
But it's tied all together, right? I mean, there's Illidan's part of this whole mess. So
yeah, kind of. I mean, Illidan shows up much later in the lore on that timeline. He basically, Illidan consumes the skull of Gul'dan, if I'm not mistaken, and Gul'dan just died. It's a relic that is years later when the Night Elves wake up from their slumber. Illidan and his brother, what's his face?
Malfurion.
Malfurion, who is my character in Hearthstone, by the way. And it's the 10,000 year slumber. And anyway,
it's quite good in Heroes
very
too,
slim.
by the way. It's really good.
And the other very important thing in your call, first of all, they must have some kind of gnomish telephone device on the server, so you should be able to call from your server. And second of all, Archimonde in French is said Archimonde. It's actually the way you pronounce it in French. So there you go.
Dude, I had no idea.
Of course you did.
I don't know why that's so cool, though. I had no idea it was a French origin. Is that on purpose? Are they just trying to fool us all into thinking that they used a French-sounding thing and then...
No. I think it's originally the English word, and the way we mispronounce it in French is, it's like,
okay.
I don't know. It's like hamburger being pronounced hamburger, which we don't do. We say hamburger. We don't do it. No, what did I do?
Okay. I gotta isolate that. That was fantastic. Oh, man. I really enjoyed that. What would you say about that, Mike Morheim?
Hello, China.
All right, great. Let's move on. Here is a call about T-shirts. Oh, why isn't it playing?
Hey, this is Kogo from Emerald Dream. A lot of people are getting worked up over the Overwatch merchandise being put in the Blizzard store. I just want to know what you guys thought about that, whether they thought they should be working on the actual game itself, or if it's okay that they can put out products already. Anyways, thanks. On the show.
Well, it's obviously okay to do whatever they want, but I see what he means. You know, it's
Wait, what's the issue?
Well,
because they have T-shirts.
Because they already have T-shirts and merch out and jackets and stuff you can buy for the game. I think they're in the unique position where you can actually do that. If you're talking about a company with an unknown IP or no track record, it's very hard to do that stuff ahead of it. I used to get asked in the early days of my webcomic, people would ask, they'd say, hey, I'm starting a new webcomic and I need your advice. How do I sell T-shirts and mugs? That was literally the question. And I'd say, you don't. You make a bunch of comics and you build an audience first, and then if you're lucky and have the right following and a dedicated base, then you can start selling T-shirts and mugs. But Blizzard's that's not really a problem for them. It would have been a problem if they were trying to sell Rock and Roll Racing or Lost Vikings T-shirts and mugs before those games came out, because they weren't an established entity in the way that Blizzard is. So to me, it's kind of illogical to see it any other way. They're huge. They have a game coming that will be huge. There's a reasonable expectation on everyone's part that it will be a big deal, and their marketing department can jump in and go, you know what, merchandise, let's go. And also, you don't have to buy it. So I don't know why people are worked up. It's kind of a weird thing to get worked up about.
Well, I understand. It's kind of presumptuous. It's a tiny element of hubris, I suppose. But on the other hand, look at it like this. I'm sorry, what's the caller's name?
Hold on.
Hey, this is Kogo from...
Kogol?
Okay, so Kogol, look at it this way. You're a company or an individual, and you have an opportunity to do something, and then people will give you money. Will you do it? Yes.
Okay.
So, matter settled. You know, it's like basically, do you want to make $100,000 today or not?
You know what?
Like, yes, I would like that.
For a socialist French guy, you'd sure make it good in the capitalist society here. You do just fine. I agree with exactly what you're saying. And also, as always, you know, if people didn't buy it, they wouldn't do it. So that's how the market works. There's not some weird magic going on here. They either buy them or they don't. And I want one of those jackets real bad. I just think they're overpriced, so I'm not going to get one yet. I'm going to wait and see if I can get one through some other means. That's it for calls. Thank you all again for those. 801-471-0462, and the emails work too. I have a little announcement here to mention something that you probably already noticed today. And if you didn't, well, then I snuck it right past you. I don't know. But as always, this show over the last almost 10 years, has continued to evolve. And this is Patrick's last... I'm kidding. That's a joke. I'm going down.
What?
That's total joke. Patrick's not going anywhere. As the show has grown and changed and evolved, as the game has changed and evolved, the show has tried to sort of keep up with that, let it sort of want to do its own organic thing. I want it to breathe. I want it to be the thing it wants to be. I think that's how we've been able to manage all the changes that we've seen, both in like who's hosting the show, what's the format, like all that kind of stuff. We weathered it. We've done well. Our numbers have never been higher. So with that being said, as you may have noticed today, I'm giving more official conversation and time to other games in the Blizzard arsenal, not just Warcraft. We've always sort of casually done that. This is nothing new. In fact, if you've listened to us at all for the entirety of the 10 years, other things Blizzard has been up to have been talked about on the show, but they've never been so up to so much. And WoW will always continue to be a cornerstone of the show. But I want to give ear to everything. So there's going to be more of that. And I think a lot of you will enjoy that. A few of you may go, I need just WoW. I hate everything else. And I probably can't do much for those who feel that strongly about it. But for the most part, and it really isn't going to change much. You know, like that's my point, is I'm just sort of formalizing what we were already kind of heading toward, because this is an organic, breathing creature known as the Instance. And it is now more about Blizzard on the whole than it is about one of their games. So enjoy that. All right. Just want to get that out there. Also,
can we start the speculation that WoW is dying?
You can, and I know some will. I think they'd be premature.
I just wanted to get it out of the way.
Well, I mean, there was an announcement, like our good friends over at CTR, who I think in their fourth or fifth year, they good guys, known them forever, and they just announced, or Coltrane just announced, that he'll be stepping away from that show. So things are changing, but I wouldn't say it has anything to do with the game ending. I'm just saying there's an evolution in the way this game has been covered and who Blizzard is now and how it all works. So this probably comes as not a huge surprise to anybody that I'm going to formalize this a little bit more. And I just love everything they're doing. I love it all. I'm still terrible at Hearthstone, but I still love it. So we'll talk about it here and there. Also, just a tiny announcement. This is totally self-serving. I'll be launching a Kickstarter soon with, speaking of my comic, with the last 15 years worth of the best strips in the definitive version. It'll feature a foreword by Jerry Conway, who created The Punisher, Firestorm, Man-Thing, many comic book stuff, in addition to a bunch of TV he wrote and other things. The guy's awesome, and he's a fan, so he's going to do the foreword. The cover art by renowned DC Justice League of America artist Howard Porter. He's done stuff for The Flash, done stuff for Marvel, obviously a whole bunch of DC things. The guy's a freaking pro. You will not believe what he's made for me, and it'll have a very specific ring for those who listen to the instance, because there's a little reference in there that'll be hard to avoid. Anyway, he's doing some art for that. We have other artists lined up, like Steve Hamaker and others, that will either have as unlocks or however we're going to do it. They're going to also contribute, but it will be 15 years of myextralife.com. Finally, in a book form. People have been asking for it. That'll launch soon. If you're interested in that at all, just follow me on Twitter at Scott Johnson, and I'll let you know what's going on. More on that soon. Patrick, anything going on in your world before we cut ourselves loose? I know you seem very studious with all those books behind you. Do you have anything really important and intelligent to say?
Do I ever? The answer is no. I guess the usual, Frenchspin.com. I do a video game news show twice a month called Pixels, and I do a international news show, which is also fun and really cool and interesting, called the Phileas Club. And if you want to discover those, you can go to Frenchspin.com. Is it too early to talk about E3 plans?
No, let's talk about them. I'm excited about this.
Might not have.
Yeah, I think something will happen, but let's tell them what tentatively we're thinking, because I'm very excited about this.
So basically, we're going to do a Voltron of video gaming news shows and podcasts, and merge into a single commenting entity for E3. We're going to try and, basically, Scott and I are going to try and live comment a few of the conferences for E3, which is coming up in a couple of weeks. And we'll try to do those lives for at least... is it the Monday or the Tuesday that we have all the big ones? It's the Monday, right?
Monday's the bigger one, yeah. That's Sony, Microsoft. Right. It's the big stuff, yeah.
So at least for that day, we're going to do as many as possible on live commenting. So that should be fun. And then we'll have a merged common, I think we're going to call it Booksels, because it's Boop and Pixels together.
Boopsels, exactly.
Booksels works for a summary / roundup of what was announced at E3. I'm very excited about it because, E3, as I'm fond of saying, is kind of my Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for it all year, and I'm ready to get excited and to, dismiss the bull crap that they're going to try and sell us if I'm disappointed. But I'm sure I'm going to be overly excited because that's what I do. So,
well, if
it will happen in a couple of weeks.
It's going to be awesome, and I'm very excited about it. And if you are interested in more about these shows we're talking about, go to FrenchSpin.com, where you can find the Pixel Show with Patrick and guests. It's an amazing show. You should listen to it. It's great commentary about more than just, hey, a game's coming out. There's all this great stuff around it. You can also listen to my show, The Boop Show, at frogpants.com/boop, and he and I will together create the Pixel Loop. Is that even better?
No, it was Booksel.
Booksel, sorry. Got it backwards. Anyway, exciting stuff coming up. All sorts of cool things. Hang around, be here, or be square. All right, that doesn't make sense. Let's get out of here. We're done. Theinstance.net is the website you'll want to visit. That's where all our show notes are. The Instance Show, or at Instance Show on Twitter. You can find me at Scott Johnson, Patrick at Not Patrick. Hopefully see Dills and Terpster next week. Our theme was created by Matthew Oxley. Big thanks to our intern, Paul Swickard. Keeps the website up. If you want more great shows like this, head on over to frogpants.com and FrenchSpin.com. That'll do it for us, for me, for Patrick. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
There you go. Nice show. That was fun. I had a ball today. I appreciate you taking time out because I know you're like traveling and busy. And
no, it's fine. You know, I'm here for a few weeks and I'm working, so it's not like I'm. Well, actually, no. Appreciate me, giving you some of my incredibly precious time.
Very valuable. And is she there for family and stuff? Is that what you guys are doing? Just visiting family and friends, or what?
No, she has a family. Her family has a nice country house. So we're staying there for a few. I'm getting acquainted with the country and the habits, and we're married now, so it's sort of part of my my family as well. So that's why, and we're spending a few. We figured we both can work from anywhere, so why not come to? Well, unfortunately, you're the only one who can see this, but I'm going to show you a little bit of where I am.
No man wiener, though.
Wait. Can you see this? Just a second.